Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women Racing to Win right here on the Grid Network. Joe Samniego, along with Daniel Zeri from Racers, the girls behind the helmet. Very exciting show today. We recap W Series and a historic weekend in ELMS. With that said, we'll go ahead and get started with the W Series. And the 2021 campaign has concluded for the W Series, and Jamie Chadwick becomes a two-time champion in the W Series, and she earns 15 super license points. Since winning the championship, she has gained recognition across the motorsports community from racing drivers across the motorsports community congratulating her. We're even seeing fans, of course, on Twitter, social media congratulating her, and even American-based World Wrestling Entertainment with a championship belt for the W Series champion and even having the W Series logo on that championship. And now, looking at the LMP2 test with Richard Mille Racing with Alice Powell, her W Series rival for the championship this year. So overall, a lot going on. And Dan, I guess the big question is, do we see Jamie Chadwick doing other events besides the Extreme E Series? And thoughts on her potential 2023 plans?
Well, hello everyone. Thank you for having me, Joe. As usual, the W Series for season finale was really something interesting last weekend. As you said, it's going to be really interesting to see where Jamie is ending up next year, because I think this is also not only important for Jamie's career, but also it's going to be really important for the W Series championship altogether, because we know that in 2019, when she first won the championship, then she couldn't make the step up to the FIA Formula 3 championship. Then that was a little bit of a problem for W Series in the eyes of the critics, or at least of the W Series championship, because they said, even though it is one of the few championships that has a huge, quite a huge prize money, to be honest, the winner gets $500,000. So that is something that you don't usually see in another feeder series in motor racing. Still, she couldn't make the step up to the FIA Formula 3, which would have been the most natural step for Jamie. I think now everyone is really looking at Jamie to see not only where her career is going, but also to see how W Series is really becoming relevant in the careers of young females in their path towards Formula One. Because of course, as you mentioned, the WEC is awarding a test to both Jamie and Alice. And also Lilu Wadu, a really interesting driver. But of course, if we are talking about the step towards Formula One, it's going to be really important for W Series to really ensure that their champions at least can progress. And this is one of the top topics for W Series. And yesterday we had an announcement that together with the FIA Formula 3 and Formula 2 promoters, they are opening a bridge towards those championships for the W Series drivers, which is, I think, the best ever idea and concept that W Series could develop in the coming years. We know that Irina Sirokova and Nerea Marti will go to Magny-Cours to test for the first time a Formula 3 car, a FIA Formula 3 car. And I think that is the correct way for W Series to approach this potential issue. But speaking about Jamie, as you said, Extreme E, of course, she is racing together with her team, Veloce Racing. We know that she always expressed her interest in FIA Formula 3, but she never had the budget to do that. So it's going to be interesting if now her this second title will help her in securing some funding, some crucial funding to do that important step. Williams F1 team also is supporting Jamie, so it's time for Williams to decide if they are serious with Jamie and step in and help her financially to move up. I think this is the biggest questions. But of course, she also has some good opportunities outside of Formula cars, because WEC, why not? It's massively interesting. But also she has links with Aston Martin, for example, for GT classes. So I think she definitely will be racing somewhere next year. We still don't know yet where.
Yeah, and don't know yet where exactly. That is really exciting to hear about the potential F2, F3 bridge from the W Series. And definitely, I think it's when it comes to Jamie Chadwick, getting two in a row. Besides extremely, I think a lot of fans would like to see her doing some more racing, especially as the W Series. They had a huge crowd Sunday right before the F1 Grand Prix, so a lot of exposure for all the drivers. And of course, as we've been talking about, Jamie Chadwick, she's also the first female driver to lead the Grid World Motorsport League Championship standing. Very exciting. And some of the other drivers, of course, as you mentioned, Arena, Nira, they got that Formula 3 test coming. And then Formula 1 this year, since all the W Series races were on the Formula 1 race weekends, overall, the W Series set themselves up for a strong 2022. Especially, we still haven't heard about their schedule, but a lot of people are assuming they will be part of F1 again. And then with the major changes coming, do you think that's going to be just something where it's going to add on to that excitement for the 2022 season?
Yeah, I think definitely so. I think W Series will be again on the F1 calendar. Of course, it's not official yet. They still have to announce their schedule and their calendars. But I would 99.9% they will Formula One again. I know that since the first season, Catherine Bowen-Muir, the W Series CEO, was really interested in expanding the W Series operations to Asia. We know that now still it's a little bit more tricky due to the pandemic issues to travel to Asia, and most of the Asian countries have stopped the sporting activities in the last 2 years. So it's going to be a little bit more tricky. Also, Formula One missing some of the races there in Japan or Singapore, for example. But that is long term one of the plans for W Series that I will definitely be positive about. Also, in the US, as you said, there was a huge crowd, and most of them were also starting to get interested in W Series. So that was very important for the category itself. But yeah, I think with this brand new FIA Formula 3 and Formula 2 links and partnership that also include other projects like Iron Dames, for example, they will definitely try to extend and strengthen these links, and so being with Formula 1 makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense being with Formula One, especially when you got large crowds. And they were at some of the best tracks that we could think of, besides Circus of America, Spa, Belgium. They got the opportunity to race there, thankfully, with a break in the weather. Zandervoort with that huge crowd from Max Verstappen that were there, and of course, home country of Bicycle. A lot of great venues, a lot of great potential, I think, for 2022, and definitely be following, especially when the news comes out about their season. And of course, with next season, we know the top 8 in the W Series points are guaranteed a spot in there, and those 8 drivers, as you can see, besides Jamie Chadwick and Alice Powell, Emma Kimmeline, Marty, as you mentioned, Sarah Moore, Fabia Wilwin, Abby Pullen, and Bicycle Visser. Bicycle, she had to come into the top 8 during the last race weekend. Entered Texas outside the top 8, got in with the second to last race, and then was able to hold on. And that battle for 8th place, following it almost felt like following the NASCAR playoffs with the cutoff lines between each rounds. With that 8th place battle, besides Visser just getting in, does any other driver in the top 8 really surprise you this season? Oh, definitely will stand by in case Daniel rejoins us, but definitely one of the big things, because we were talking about with the top 8, in the points, as you can see here, we were just asking Daniel, out of the drivers in the top 8, if there was any big surprises, and I see, Daniel, you are back. Was there any
Yeah.
drivers in the top 8 that really surprised you this year?
In the top 8, I would say, well, Nerea Marti is not much of a surprise because we often talked about her. I knew she was going to be one of the contenders for the top 10 at least. I didn't expect her to be at the first year that far ahead, but I'm pleased to see her doing really well and being top 4. Emma Kimilani, we knew that she was probably contesting for victories. Sarah Moore, she was obviously very, very fast, but top 5, I think, was great from her perspective. Really made a great step forward compared to 2019. Same thing also for Fabienne, even though after the almost victory in Silverstone, I would have expected her to compete a little bit more for further ahead for podiums in the final rounds of the season, even though she had a really strong season. And then, of course, as you said, Bajtske, really, she fought her way back into the top 8, which was really good to see. Well, we had a couple of surprises because, of course, Marta Garcia was out of the top 8. Belen Garcia, who was in until the final race on Sunday, she also dropped out of the top 8. Abby Eaton and Jessica Hawkins. I mean, a few interesting names that at the end of the day didn't quite make it in. So I think, yes, Marta, for example, has to be the biggest surprise. She missed the final round. She was not feeling well, and missed out on the opportunity of an automatic entry. So it's going to be really interesting to see if W Series will give all these drivers another opportunity, how it's going to work. Of course, we know that now with teams, the structure is going to be a little bit how these selections are going to work. But yeah, I think we had a couple of surprises.
Yeah, a couple of surprises. I think I agree with what you said about Fabienne. After pulling off that win, I thought, okay, she's going to start contending for wins. It just seemed like it didn't carry over that momentum. And then, of course, disappointing last race where after that first corner got airborne, looked like some damage was caused to the car, so she had to retire. But yeah, top 8, I think there were some of the best drivers that we saw. And then, as you mentioned, of course, the surprise of Marta Garcia not being in the top 8. And as we take a look at the remaining drivers, as we mentioned, this is 11th through 20th. These drivers, some of them just did not have the season we anticipated. Marta Garcia, of course, the biggest example. Abby Eaton, Jessica Hawkins, Miki Koyama, Vicky Perea, and Sabri Cook. Sabri just, unfortunately, during Texas was in the top 10, got spun around. Tough break for her. Of course, not just part of racing as well. And of course, along with some of those surprises, some of the new names, Belen Garcia, Bruno Tomasali, that we saw coming into the W Series. We know some drivers, particularly Armenia, the W Series Academy drivers, they're going to be coming back next year. Which drivers do you feel are going to be more likely to return to the W Series? And what are the next steps for the drivers that we don't see in the W Series but want to be part in the W Series?
Good question. We still don't know how the selections are gonna work. So if there's gonna be, well, let's say that first of all, top 8 means that it opens a lot of places, a lot of spots on the grid for 2022. So I know of some drivers that are interested in joining W Series, especially some drivers that are now racing in Formula 3 or Formula 4 level, but not that much. So I think that probably, well, I have no idea of all the interest that they have, but probably some of these drivers are going to be allowed back into the grid. Still, this is all very speculation on my part because nobody knows at the moment how things are going to work. But for example, Marta Garcia, for example, Belen Garcia, also Jess Hawkins or Abby Eaton, for example. Abby Eaton also missed the final round because she is currently in hospital in Austin with a broken vertebra. So some of these drivers that probably will deserve another shot. Also, for example, Caitlin Wood. I mean, she was a reserve driver, only did 3 races, and scored points in 2 of them. So why not giving her another shot? For example, also Bruna Tomaselli, as you said, she was a rookie. She had a couple of good rounds towards the start of the season, qualifying very well in the first couple of rounds, and then kind of slipped back down the order. So I think probably with some more development, it's going to be interesting to see them if they can come back, because still it's not really clear yet how things are going to work and how many new drivers will be assessed for next year's grid.
Yeah, next year's grid, I think a lot of folks with those top 8, they're going to be really exciting. It'll be strange, especially since a lot of these drivers from season 1 came back for season 2. If to see some of them not be back, like particularly if Sabri Cook, Vicky Perea, Mika Koyama, if they're not back next year, I feel like it seems weird just to say W Series, but not there. Hopefully, of course, especially with the American audience that we saw in Formula One, there'll be at least one American present driver there represent. So definitely it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the W Series in 2022. And of course, we encourage everyone to be sure to follow Racers Girls Behind the Helmet, especially on Twitter and Grid Network. Subscribe right here. We'll be reporting all W Series news, including once the new season comes out and the new drivers and teams for 2022. Now, I know besides W Series, it was a pretty big historic weekend for ELMS, and particularly the Iron Dames and Sophia Floersch.
Oh, yes, definitely. Was, as you said, an historic weekend at Portimao for the season finale of the European Le Mans Series. Sophia Floersch joined the grid, not in her usual Richard Mille Racing team in LMP2, but she had a one-off experience with Algarve Pro Racing, which is a Portuguese team. First time that she entered in that team, she had tested the car prior to the race event the week before at Estoril. And she thought that the team was great, so she decided to do this race, and it went great for Sophia. She was P3 at the end of the race, qualified in 2nd place overall, and finished in 3rd place. And she was the first woman to ever step on the ELMS overall podium. So that was quite a weekend for Sophia. We also know that now this weekend she's racing back in the WEC in World Endurance Championship back with Richard Mille Racing. Tatiana Calderon will not be in Bahrain for the season finale because she's racing at Suzuka in the Super Formula Championship and final round in Japan. So Sophia and Beiske will share the car, only 2 drivers for 6 hours. It's going to be quite a busy weekend for Sophia. But yeah, great weekend for her in Portimao. It's a track that she knows pretty well because she also raced last year in ELMS and this year in WEC. And she had a really strong race. She did the 2nd stint of the race, of the 4-hour race. She had quite a tire issue towards the end, so she pitted 5 laps before what they had thought about the strategy. But still, they managed to finish 3rd, and it was quite an historic result for her. Also, Iron Dames were back on track at Portimao as well, of course, with Sarah Bovey, Michelle Gatting, and Ryle Fry. They finished also 3rd in GTE class. They had qualified in 6th place with Rahel Fry qualifying in P6 on Friday. But then they finished the race in 3rd place after a really strong race from all 3 of them. At one point they were 2nd in Iron Links 1-2. Pretty much after the first part of the race, where Sarah Bowie had a really strong stint, and then Michelle Gatting as well. Rahel, unfortunately, had a penalty in the very closing minutes. She had a drive-through while she was about to catch up with 2nd placed car, but still finished 3rd, which really good finish end of the season for Iron Dames, which will be also in Bahrain this weekend for the WEC, but not with Michelle Gatting, but with Kathleen Legg.
Yeah, very exciting to see everything, especially Sophia Floersch become the first female racer to get overall podium at Portimao. Very exciting, big congratulations to her. She overall has had a pretty successful year with ELMS, of course. 24 Hours of Le Mans didn't exactly go their way, but I feel like the team was on track, looking good. Then DTM, a lot of racing under her belt. Damn, I know as a racer, especially in Europe where you're traveling to different countries, because here in the United States, it's one thing to go from state to state, race, complete those laps, especially with this pandemic, and just be able to travel across Europe. How much of an experience gain is that, considering, she's gaining seat time while there might be other drivers more limited in their seat time?
Yeah, now it's a little bit easier. Of course, it's a lot more paperwork than it used to be to travel to one country to the other. But across Europe, it's not too bad right now, to be honest. And of course, it's really important to try to log as many laps as possible. Of course, she has been jumping from one car to the other, very different cars, as you said, GT3 in DTM, the LMP2 in WEC and in ELMS, and then last year she was doing FIA Formula 3. So a lot of different cars. But I think she managed pretty well. She also with switching teams, not only cars, because for example the Richard Mills Racing Red car is the same one as used by the LMP2 Pro Algarve team, but of course different teams. So you're working with different mechanics, with different engineers, with different crews. Also, that is something that is not too easy to adapt from one weekend to the next. But I think she did really well.
Yeah, overall, I felt she did really well. As you said, very impressive weekend overall. And speaking about the weekend, I know we got a good number of races coming up this weekend, including here in the United States. Haley Diggins, Jennifer Jo Cobb's trucks in the NASCAR area, they're coming back. What are some of the races you're going to be following this weekend?
Well, also speaking about NASCAR, you also have the Xfinity this weekend with Natalie Decker. She's gonna race in the last race of her schedule this year in the Xfinity. Also, we have the season finale of the Euro NASCAR in Italy, actually. So that's also quite interesting to follow. I will be personally in Monza for the final rounds of the of the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, and also the Italian Formula 4 Championship. Also, the Italian GT Championship. So it's going to be quite a busy weekend for me. We have in Formula Regional European Championship Lina Buller, Swiss driver, had quite a challenging season, but trying to finish off on a high in Monza. In Formula 4 Italy, we have Ande Alcobaisi and Maya Weug. Maya has also been confirmed as one of the drivers that will test the FIA Formula 3 car in Magny-Cours next month. Due to, of course, of her links with Iron Dames. Then in Italian GT, we have Kerry Schreiner rounding up her Italian GT Series Championship. Then some other series, it's going to be definitely the WEC with Sophia Floersch and, of course, Weiske Visser and the Iron Dames. And also Super Formula in Japan with Tatiana Calderon. Also, let me mention two American drivers are competing here in Italy also this weekend for the Finali Mondiali World Finals of the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. One is Ashton Harrison, who won in the Indianapolis 8-hour race just a couple of weeks ago. And the other one is Sheena Monk. She's also racing on the IMSA platform in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, and she's doing very well. So it's going to be interesting to see them not on their home territory, let's say, in the finale, in the world finals of Lamborghini Super Trofeo.
And we encourage everyone to be sure to visit the website Racers Behind the Helmet. Definitely get a full listing of all the races going on throughout the weekend, as well as a recap of everything that has been going on, including some of the big news, as you mentioned. Serdikova and Marti getting that F3 test. A lot of other races that we didn't get a chance to talk about today. So we encourage everyone to visit racersbehindthehelmet.com. And we want to thank everyone for joining us this race weekend. Of course, we encourage everyone to be sure to follow Racers the Girls Behind the Helmet on their website. You can find links to their Instagram and Twitter. And of course, you're watching us right here on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to the Grid Network. We're back on the air Saturday with Grid Life pre-race. And of course, Sunday Grid Life wrap up. And then we do it all over again with Wednesday Grid Tonight. And Thursday, we're back here again. For Daniel and Zeri at Racers, the Girls Behind the Helmet, I'm Joe Samaniego. Thank you for watching today's program. We'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GRIDnet for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on public.com.